Okay, Chiefs Kingdom. We are here, arrowheadpride.com, covering all angles, all corners of the NFL draft for you this weekend. We talked with you yesterday on the live streams, breaking down both picks at 21 and 30. And we got a pick coming up here. A little unexpected. They stood at number 50 in the second round, the Chiefs did. And we're looking at number 48 right now. The Bears just took Jaquan Brisker, the Penn State safety, a guy that I like quite a bit in the second round. But I'm Ron Cobb Jr., Jared Sapp, Rocky Magana, and Talon Graff are joining me here on the live stream as we are awaiting the Chiefs pick at number 50. We've all kind of been talking in the group chats and on here before we got on. Hey, receivers probably, the one thing we're looking at, right? George Pickens has fell this far. The slide has been real. We've seen guys like Wan'Dale Robinson go over him, other receivers. And so, yeah, maybe that's where we'll start here. Is that the dream, guys? Rocky, you're the George Pickens guy. Are you just kind of sweating in your, shaking in your boots right now?
I am literally a ball of nerves and sick to my stomach. I was George Pickens no matter what at 29, so the fact that he slid to 50 and it looks like the Chiefs might have a shot at him. If they pass up on him and somebody else gets him, I'm just going to be destroyed and heartbroken for the rest of the night.
Yeah, he was your number one receiver for sure. Number one player, maybe number one player overall in the draft.
Number one player on my board in
number
big,
one on the
letters.
Big board. And so yes, getting him at 50 is obviously quite a bit of value on Rocky's big board. So, man, it's shaping up for that. Jared, when you think about George Pickens here, or is there someone else here maybe that you're thinking? What are your thoughts here as we approach 50?
I think this is the moment where we're going to find out what does the league really think about George Pickens. And
yes,
every team has contacts at Georgia. Every team knows everybody in the SEC. The NFL has good information on him. If he gets through the remaining 2 minutes of New Orleans pick without somebody trading up for him to get ahead of Kansas City, and he gets past Kansas City, I think we need to start thinking probably the interview process did not go very well for him.
Yeah.
Maybe even though he came back and played in the playoffs on that knee, maybe teams just really were not that happy with what they're seeing medically from him.
Yep.
So if he makes it past this pick and Kansas City's pick, I think it's going to be a very long night for him.
I know that's the thing, man. I do think the Chiefs are the type to take the swing right here, and I think the value with the talent would make sense. And they've always done that. I think when they take their swings, it's got to be good value in the late rounds. Tyreek Hill later in the draft, even like a Kareem Hunt, even though that was third round. Justin Houston, obviously earlier. Talon, I'll throw it to you though. I saw a comment actually. I want to make sure I get that's Chris Overall on Facebook asking, what about Dean? We talked about Nakobe Dean on the AP Draft Room podcast as kind of a shocking pick, maybe at 30. He's still on the board. We've talked about Chiefs taking linebacker maybe on day 2, potentially to round out the room. Talon, what do you think about maybe them going Nakobe Dean here?
It would still be a little bit of a shock. But hey, at this point, he might be BPA, in all honesty. I am, me, I'm shying away from Pickens. I'm not on the Pickens train, but other guys that are possibilities. Travis Jones is still sitting there. That was a guy that's been heavily mocked to the Chiefs. Skyy Moore is another one that's a big favorite that could be going there. But yeah, if George Pickens is the pick, I'm going to root for the guy to succeed and hopefully he puts all that stuff behind him. But until he becomes a Chief, I'm hesitant.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. And I think you're seeing NFL teams share that same hesitancy. And they know a lot about this more than we do. So I think there's something legitimate there because I trust my guy Rocky's eye. This guy is a very good receiver. So that's the thing, man. He's the talent of a first round pick.
Hey, if we were drafting strictly football players, he's top 10. But unfortunately, you're drafting a person along with a football player. So it just, yeah.
So let's think of some other options here, though. I know one guy, if we're talking defensive line, maybe not on the edge. What about Travis Jones, the UConn defensive tackle? I saw Brian Brown on Facebook commenting here, throwing him out. He's a guy that I definitely did not expect to be. I should say, 50 is maybe the back end of where I expected Travis Jones to be going. But a guy like Fedarian Mathis, the Alabama defensive tackle, going over him was pretty surprising. What do we think about maybe Travis Jones? Do we like the addition to the defensive tackle room? Even though they kind of, defensive tackle is it's kind of shored up right now if you're talking what's going to happen in 2023 or 2022, but maybe in the future, right? 2023. Anyone have any takes on Travis Jones, possible pick?
I like it. I think it'd be a good pick here. I mean, great value. Some guys had him going round 1. I mean, you get him at pick 50. This is a guy that could slide in if Chris does, if he's not a Chief beyond 2023 or even beyond 2022 for that matter.
Okay.
All right, guys. Chiefs are on the clock. Jared, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
I was going to say the Saints took cornerback Alontae Taylor.
There you go.
I think is a good player. It's a
little high.
Higher than I expected him
It's
to
a
go.
reach.
Is 50 too high for Pierce? Is that a reach?
Over the guys that are on the board, absolutely. Because Skyy Moore and George Pickens are on the board. Alec Pierce is a good player, though. I do think he's someone that I thought maybe at 62 would be good on a double up opportunity. I'd like to see it maybe on the second half of a double up at receiver potentially, with maybe a Skyy Moore here if they want to go with a more of a slot Z type and then more your bigger X type that can get deep down the field with Alec Pierce. But yeah, Chiefs are on the clock, guys, and they have Skyy Moore and George Pickens on their board there. So we're going to see right now how much they value the receiver position, what they're going to do. I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you guys have seen anything, but the Chiefs, I got to see. It's got to be receiver, right, guys? I mean, with the options they have on the board, it's got to be receiver. Am I going to eat my words? Is that going to be?
Has to be receiver. It has to be receiver. I think. I don't know if it's going to be George Pickens, but I think it has to be receiver. I think it is 50 too early for Alec Pierce, but I mean, if Alec Pierce is a Chief, I'm not an unhappy person.
So Arrowhead Pride just tweeted out party in all caps. Party in all caps. Jared, do you have anything for us there?
Do not. All I was going to say is if you are out on Pickens, if he is not on your board for some reason, I don't know that it's that important to take a receiver right now because the next batch you'd probably still have one at 62 that you might value close to what you'd value Skyy Moore as. That's the only reason that I can see not to take a receiver here.
Exactly. That's the thing, man.
Lot of cryptic messages on Twitter right now, though.
The best kind of messages are the cryptic ones that make me really nervous about what's about to happen. But no, I think, the only other positions, I mean, could there be offensive tackle? Have we seen Bernard Raymond go off the board? I don't believe so. The Central Michigan offensive tackle. He projects as a right tackle. He could be a solid, pick right away if they want to go right tackle, as we've talked about.
I am so glad we made our trade up without giving up either second right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. No, they still have capital. They still have the 3rd round pick at 103 as well, and the 4th round pick at 135.
We're still going to get whatever happens here. We're still going to get a very good player at 62.
Saints have traded for the 50th pick.
I see the Panthers.
Albert Breer says the Saints.
The Saints are just on the clock. Oh, Tom Pelissero says Patriots. I misread it. It says Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so it's probably Patriots. I think Albert Breer might be mistaken then.
Then I think it's Nakobe Dean coming here.
Oh yeah, that's a great call. I like that call. Well, or another linebacker. Honestly, they do like their bigger guys. Maybe a Leo Chenal from Wisconsin could make sense here potentially because Nakobe Dean is not the biggest guy, and the Patriots do like their thumpers.
And I know the talent is not on the same planet, but it's a copycat league. Leo Chenal, I think, is the one linebacker that you can use the way the Cowboys use Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Rotating it at the edge. Everything else, it's not even on the same planet, but that scheme specific, I think he's the closest you can get to that. And I thought somebody would be.
Yeah, I saw him more. I mean, I know. Yeah, he's a good blitzer. He's a really good blitzer. Someone that if he's a dime linebacker in the Chiefs defense is just going to be flying around.
Albert Breer has apologized and said Patriots.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find out. Okay, so the Chiefs are now at pick 54. It looks like.
And they picked up 158 as well.
All right. So they obviously like how the board has fell to them. They're moving back a few spots. So now this live stream has gotten delayed or elongated a little bit, but hey, we're partying here. We're just having a good time.
What do you think about Chad Muma? Possibly.
That's interesting.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Patriots have taken Tyquan Thornton.
Are you serious? Because I'm seeing another pick. What is going on right now?
Michael Silver says Tyquan Thornton.
Oh, that was a joke. Okay, good thing I didn't say that because that would have sounded really stupid.
Oh, yeah, that would have. I saw that tweet.
Yeah. Okay. Tyquan Thornton is the pick for the Patriots. It sounds like second round pick, someone that wasn't even on the radar for top 100 boards before the combine when he put on a show, ran one of the fastest combines, and now is a second round pick for the New England Patriots. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty wild. The Patriots have gone out on a limb.
They traded up for him
with George Pickens, Skyy Moore, Jalen Tolbert, a lot of receivers on the board still. Taking Tyquan Thornton, really valuing that speed. That's a pretty bold move.
I think this is the Christian Kirk effect, because right now, if you have a wide receiver who is solid and not outstanding that fits your scheme really well, I think you feel a lot of pressure to have a replacement for that player in-house, because you're not going to want to pay the guy who's on your team what he thinks he's worth anymore.
So true. I think that's 100%, the Christian Kirk effect. I wonder why jump up for Tyquan Thornton. Were the Chiefs going to take Tyquan Thornton? Was there another team between now and 54 that we're going to take Tyquan Thornton and now we're going to be shifting to a different wide receiver? Or is this just Bill Belichick being paranoid? And
I think it's the same. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, the player would have complemented what Philadelphia is building in their wide receiver room really, really well with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I think he would have complemented that room really well, but 51 would still be really, really high for him.
I mean, we're talking about Bill. He just took Cole Strange in the first round. Nothing against Cole Strange, but I think he could have gotten him a lot later. So I think Bill's just being Bill. I think he might be a little outdated now.
Bill's got his board and he doesn't give a dang.
It's Bill's board and nobody else.
No, you got to start to wonder. I mean, come on. I mean, at some point, you got to start to wonder what's going on there with Bill. Let's update the people, though, who maybe joined later. The Chiefs have traded out of pick number 50. They traded with the Patriots, the same team they traded with on day one. So obviously they continue to call each other, and are at now number 54, which we're gonna stay on here, kind of talk through the draft while we wait on that. So So here's the remaining draft picks on the board. Shout out Pete, the boss man, updating us in the group chat to make it easy on me. 2 second-round picks still, 54 and 62 are the picks in the second round. They have a third-round pick still, 103, but now they have a fourth-round and a fifth-round pick at 135 and 158. They had the fourth-round pick before, but the 158 is the new pick that they acquired in this trade down, moving 4 spots down with the Patriots, and allowing the Patriots, I guess, to come up and grab the guy they really wanted, Tyquan Thornton, the Baylor receiver. Yeah, it's fascinating, man, that is the move. I mentioned Jalen Tolbert's another receiver on the board that they passed up. I mean, there's Alec Pierce. I mean, even a guy like him, he feels like, David Bell, obviously didn't test well, but just a really good receiver, it seems like. That just kind of shows you that traits matter, right? It kind of shows you that, if you got that speed trait, you're really going to get overvalued by NFL teams. I mean, we're seeing it here. Again, it might just be Bill off his rocker a little bit, but, we'll see. He's not that old. How old is Bill?
I was thinking
Bill's not that old.
He's in his 70s, I think, right?
In his 70s.
He's not a spry guy.
No.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah.
On Thornton, one thing that I was thinking about the other day, though, I don't ever remember a receiver who had, acceptable college production having the combine he had and getting less buzz.
You're talking about Tyquan Thornton, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But then we saw this. Then we got this. So obviously there was some sort of buzz within NFL circles.
Yeah, it's just from draft media. Usually that's somebody who comes out of the combine, and I know he's kind of overshadowed by Christian Watson's freakish nature. Just seems like in a normal year, that would be somebody who would come out of the combine and you'd feel like he's greatly increased his draft position, which this guy apparently did. Just nobody saw it coming.
All right.
Eagles pick is in.
Do you mind sharing with the people?
Yep, they've taken center/guard Cam Jurgens.
He was one of those late risers at the end of the process that really started to catch some fire. It's probably about the range that I assumed he would go. Number 49 on Dane Brugler's top 100. There you go, Nebraska center. You got to like that, Nebraska. There's probably some Nebraska fans listening potentially. So your guy just went. That's Chiefs Kingdom.
I'm guessing this is the last year they have, their franchise legend center on their roster. I think Jason Kelsey will probably retire after this year, and they have two options in-house now that can compete to take his job, and the other one's probably going to be a great guard.
Guys, Steelers pick is in.
No.
It's George Pickens.
Oh, no. I really wish I was good enough with like the tune or the mix right now to get like some sad music playing on the live stream. Kind of just, yeah, we'll just do it ourselves. Yeah, well, that really shows you what the Chiefs think about George Pickens right there. It does. That's all you need to know.
And they did their work on him.
Yeah, exactly.
If his visit had gone well, he would be a Chief right now.
I know, but
and
it's just unrequited love, guys, and I'll get over it. I will heal in due time.
I'm not gonna lie.
If the Chiefs are going to pass on a high-risk player, that says something to me.
They are passing on a high-risk character player, if you want to categorize it like that, which we are because they just passed on him, even though we know he's a first-round talent. I just would think the receiver position is one you maybe it's like, hey, like we'll make it work, if you got real, it's not a linebacker, it's not a, it's
this kind of, I mean, the fact that the Chiefs have taken players with a past before, that's even a bigger red flag. Like the Chiefs aren't even willing to take. Like, how bad is it? I mean, because it doesn't take long to look at the guys that have a history with the Chiefs, right? Like, so I don't know that. I hope he succeeds. I never want to see anybody fail, but I hope he can figure it out because there's clearly stuff going on.
Yeah, I think that the thing that the Chiefs look at more than anything with guys, they don't care if a guy has a past. They care about it if the guy's working towards a future and if the guy's showing contrition for that past. If a guy walks in there with no kind of regard for or understanding of his mistakes, then there's an old movie called The Big Kahuna where they say this guy doesn't have any character, and he's like, why? Because I don't think I've made any mistakes. He's like, no, you've made plenty of mistakes. You just haven't realized them yet, right? And that's how character's built. So I would probably say that's got to be something like that.
And
not to get too, yeah. Go ahead.
Pittsburgh is a great organization. They keep guys on straight and narrows. It seems like. I mean, I know Mason Rudolph has obviously had his headlines, and so has Cameron Hayward. But again, it seems like it's a good organization to be part of.
All right, I want to update the people. P Bates 33 on the YouTube channel asked, what did they get from New England? So they traded back 4 spots. They are now at number 54, and they acquired the 5th round pick that they now have. I believe it was 158. Yes, it was 158. So that is what they got. They added a 5th round pick by moving back 4 spots and passing up the chance to get Pickens. I mean, they, as you guys all just presented. I mean, they just straight up and Brett B's just smart enough to know what the value of Pickens was, where he probably could go. If he had any sort of sniffing that he would go in this range and they wanted him, they would have just taken him. And so this isn't a situation where, they're going to be like, well, we thought we could get him at 54. No, they would have just taken him right there. There's no reason to trade out. And so if you really wanted him. So yeah, that's all you really need to know. So now receivers on the board. I'll go ahead real quick though and say my big board, my kind of updated big board. Nakobe Dean is my best player available at 23. Rocky, what do you got for us here?
Colts take Alec Pierce. Chiefs are on the clock.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Chiefs are on the clock. We are going here. I'm going to tweet out a link real quick because I need the people to know we're on the clock. Guys, are we thinking receiver Alec Pierce is kind of an option for sure? That I like for sure at least. And now that Pickens is gone, Skyy Moore is still on the board though, and maybe that is who they're looking at. Do you think potentially?
Yeah, they'd have to. Colts took Alec Pierce just a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, did I mishear Rocky?
Yeah, no, Colts took Alec Pierce, so Alec Pierce is gone.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I said Skyy Moore. I thought, and maybe I didn't. Yeah, Skyy Moore still on the board, and that's maybe someone they could be thinking about. You mentioned Chad Muma, and I don't think we hit on that too much because he was actually someone I was tempted. The Wyoming linebacker, for anyone not familiar, he was someone I was actually tempted to mock them at 62. And I was like, well, they're not going to take 3 linebackers in a row in the second round, right? 3 back-to-back years. They could, because he's a really rangy guy and someone that could really help, maybe in the dime defense as a higher ceiling what Ben Neiman has been doing for them over the last few years.
Troy Anderson measures out at a Sam pretty well too, right? He's on the board.
Troy Anderson, yeah, there you go. Montana State, everyone's favorite story. What's up, Talon?
Sam Williams is there.
Yes, he is. Sam Williams is one of my favorite guys. He is the highest edge available on my board. Nakobe Dean, Travis Jones, Bernard Raymond, Sam Williams, and
Winfrey.
Skyy Moore is the next player on my board. So yeah, we're in that sweet spot for me where any of those guys would make sense in my opinion. Oh man, go ahead.
I've heard some buzz today that Sam Williams will not get past 56 at the Cowboys.
And maybe that's what they had in mind in terms of, hey, we know we have that 56 floor, right? So we know we can work with that if we really want to take Sam Williams.
I like it.
That's good info. That's good info. Rocky, what's up?
So just a little bit of insight on the Pickens situation. Apparently he was in a car crash a week ago and got cited for not wearing his seatbelt and had a minor head injury as a result of it. So that just kind of goes a little bit to the just kind of being careless out the field, I think. Chiefs pick is in.
Do you have it? Do you have the name?
Yeah, I have it. It is Skyy Moore, wide receiver.
Skyy Moore. All right, there we go. That's exciting.
I heard Arrowhead Pride already has a profile on him.
Yeah, somebody does. Somebody, some smart writer that really took the initiative to get it out there. Skyy Moore, Western Michigan wide receiver. Jared, you wrote the profile as I just teased a little bit. Why don't you give us a little rundown on what you got from Skyy Moore when you looked at the film?
I definitely thought that if the Chiefs wanted him, they would need to have taken him by now. It's hard because in my mind, I still want to see the Chiefs offense going through Tyreek Hill. And I thought I was past it. I thought I was better until I really sat down and looked at Skyy Moore because it dawned on me that we're going to have to start seeing the offense going through a different type of player. He can handle an insane amount of the Chiefs offense. He can have a very special relationship with Patrick Mahomes and really be a go-to player. It's just the big difference is he's going to make a 20-yard catch. He's not going to make a 20-yard catch and then cut and take it 20 more yards to the house.
Yeah, no, I think there's some. I mean, there's a little to him with that. I would think. I mean, you don't want to say he has none of that. I don't think
he has none of that. It's the change in direction is what I never really saw. Mm-hmm. Although he was not an easy player to find film for, I could not find any all-22 film for him. I mean,
you're right.
Everything I used for my piece came from broadcast footage.
Yeah, you are right, and that was the case with me as well. For whatever reason, Western Michigan film isn't out there, but no, I really like the fact that when you talk about the big receivers they have, you talk about Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. This is a good complement to what those guys bring. Yes. This is a guy that's going to give you slot capability. Give you those short routes, going to win quickly off the line, be able to catch a bubble screen, and give you some yards. And like you just mentioned, Jared, he's not going to be the big play in terms of like you're talking straight ahead speed, just blowing everyone away. But he's kind of, what Jahan Dotson, what I really liked about him, Skyy Moore does a little bit of that too. And I think they're actually pretty similar players. You saw Dotson go at 16. I think this is great value for a guy like him better than Dotson. You liked him better than Dotson?
I like him better than Dotson.
Well, hey, there you go. I disagree. but Jared is the one who broke him down. So I love it. Talon, Rocky, you got any takes on Skyy Moore and initial reaction?
Yeah, so he's a guy that, for his size, is pretty good at the contested catch. I think that the one thing that Tyreek Hill struggled with was his catch radius, and Skyy Moore seems to have a pretty good catch radius for his size. He comes back to the ball well, pretty good body control. The one issue that I have with Skyy Moore is that he's 5'9", and he only has a 34-inch vertical. It's not a terrible vertical, but it's nothing special out of a smaller guy, right? So he's not going to be a guy who's going to go up and get the ball. He's going to be that across the middle kind of guy who you try to get in space. If they utilize him like the Colts used to utilize Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, then I think that he could have a lot of success, right? But he's not that outside receiver that you're looking for.
It's funny you mentioned those names. Jahan Dotson got a Marvin Harrison comparison from a former GM, Mike Tannenbaum. And when I talk about Dotson and Skyy Moore being similar players, I do think there is something to, maybe a smaller build guy that just has really quick feet, gets open, creates separation. I think Moore kind of fits that as well. Talon, what are you thinking about Skyy Moore? Are you excited about the Chiefs adding to the receiving core?
Yeah, it's good to see another receiver there, a young guy that they get 4 years of control over. I'm not super high on Skyy. I think he's okay. 54 is a good spot for him. I wasn't going to be happy if he was a round one guy. So they trade back and get someone that's going to come in and provide quality depth. I think it'll take him a little bit to really get traction as a starter, if that ever really does happen. But again, it's a solid pick for Veach. I think it's the guy that you can trust. It's the guy that he's going to come in and work, and it's not a low character guy. So while he's not going to be rookie of the year or Pro Bowl or anything in his first couple of years, I think he's going to come in and give quality reps to an offense that is looking for new stars.
Yeah, I'll be honest, on the AP draft room, and Jared, you called us out a little, not called us out, but just you listened and heard that I called Skyy Moore a low floor player, and it was kind of more searching for that right name to kind of talk about, and I do see how he could be a low floor player in a vacuum, but with the Chiefs, man, I see the role is there, and the Chiefs are going to utilize him correctly. I think a team could utilize him incorrectly, try to give him a little more wide receiver one usage instead of maybe more of a complementary piece like he'll be in Kansas City. No, I like the Chiefs, and hey, if Andy and Patrick Mahomes signed off, which that they did, it's a good pick. So let's get grades on the pick. We graded last night on Karlaftis and McDuffie. Jared, I'll start with you. What do you give this pick grade wise?
I'm trying to separate that. I had it in my mind everything was going to be good with George Pickens and he was going to be a Chief. So I'm trying to separate that from my mind in a vacuum without knowing that. I'm going to give this an A- because I like that they're able to trade back and still get him. And the 158th pick doesn't seem like much, but Brett Veach has been really good at finding people in that range who fit a specific role. So I'm really excited to see what happens with that pick. So given the draft value, I'm going to give this one an A-.
A-. There we go. That's higher than any grade we got last night for the first round picks. Rocky, what are you thinking about a grade here?
So I like the player. I like Skyy Moore. I think the issue is that the Chiefs are still in need of a number one wide receiver. They're going to end up. They don't have control of Juju after this year. They don't have control over Mecole after this year. And I think that they're going to go into next year with two wide receiver threes on their roster in MVS and Skyy Moore, and without any real, set guys on the outside. So I feel like he's a solid player, but does he fill the role that the Chiefs needed in this draft with a number one wide receiver on the outside? And I don't think he fills that role. So while I really like the player, I really like the pick, I'm a B- on this one. I'm not down on the pick. I like the player, but it's not what we needed, I don't think.
Talon, what are you thinking grade wise here?
Yeah, I'm going C+. I'm just not that high on him. I think he's going to be an okay player, and landing with the Chiefs is going to help him. Going back to what you were talking about, the low floor part, I agree. If he goes to the wrong spot, man, if it's going to be bad for him, it would be bad. So he needs time to develop. He needs to be in the right system. He needs to be with the right staff and the right talent around him. And Chiefs are, obviously the Chiefs. So if he's going to succeed, I'm glad he's with the Chiefs. It's going to give him the greatest opportunity to succeed, one of the few spots to do so. It's going to be a little bit. And so for that reason, 54, you want to see a guy that's going to come in and contribute early and contribute a lot. He might contribute, but it's not going to be a lot. And it might be a little bit before he really gets any traction. So C+ for me. I'm not that thrilled about it. I'm not going to lie.
That's completely fair. And I like you standing your ground on your takes here. I'm going to go A- here. I agree with Jared. I was thinking B+, but I like the value they got him here at, right? If Skyy Moore is your pick at 30, if Skyy Moore is your pick, maybe you trade back early in the second round. I think there might be some value questions there. There was a good amount of receivers that went off the board before Skyy Moore, and they took their time. They added a 5th round pick in the process, and they obviously like him. This is a guy they obviously targeted. They obviously passed up taking superstar potential guys like George Pickens, like Christian Watson. So when you think about it like that, and that's the thing, man, when the Chiefs make the pick, it's such a smart organization. It's hard to, nitpick it too much, but I like us standing our ground. I like the opinion, Talon. I like these grades, man. I like this discussion. It was a good one. Chiefs are still coming up though on the clock. We're going to bounce out of here and come back on the live stream when they get a little closer here. So appreciate everyone checking in and stay tuned. We will be back with another reaction to a live pick.